Okay, and welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Humankind on Empire difficulty in what is now the sixth part of the second stream. While I was away, I deduced one of the potential problems I may be having. I adopted secularism. And I can't undo it. So one of the things that might be the case now is I gave up my religion of war. Which was helping me fight. I was like, okay, if I can give up secularism and go back to my warring religion, we might be in a better space. But no, that apparently is not the option. That was a mistake. Either way, I think we're still in the potential where we can still make this work. We're doing manual battle here. One thing I can do. I don't know if they're going to be in the forward wall actually. So let's assume they actually are in the forward wall. Okay. Oh, no firing angle from there. A little annoying. It's not going to be one from here either. No. Yeah, shoot the draftees then. Yeah, it was predicting the draftees would be a problem. They don't appear to be a problem. Oops. And that's partially because the draftees actually have to come out to fight me. And or I get to shoot at them, take no damage. So the predictor is a little bit off due to the fact that we got mixed melee range units. Okay, that's the end of the turn. Although, I think at this point we've gone ahead and cut them down to 1 unit. So unless they bring in reinforcements, we will be able to run the city on the next turn. So, setbacks and successes. Let's start cycling forward. We got more troops being generated. When the troops are deployed, I think we'll have the numbers to fight back. Meantime, we can go do some other Manipulation. So you need to keep forming up. You need to keep forming up. And one more turn. Okay, you'll be done next turn. Do I need all the industry to keep doing that? No, they'll finish next turn either way. Okay. Cue the science back up again. Yeah, so we'll get that troop, get that deployed, and then you'll go back to things. I don't want to recruit more troops here because we're running out of people. The population will recover pretty quickly, so I'm not too worried about the fact that we consume so many people. Just, you know, in the short term, that's not a problem. In the long term, that may become a problem. Really? You gotta be in the one spot where none of my units can fire back at you. Okay, that turn's over. So we're basically just stalling whatever's been involved in that battle for another turn. And yeah, as far as we could go into the next era, unless we're ready to do next era techs. I don't see the advantage. We want to do at least two more techs before we go to the next era. Set of techs. Yeah, that's where we are. And of course, because I'm drafting people, our rate of making tech has gone down. Plus, whenever cities there's no siege, which is lowering the effectiveness there. Oh, there was a way up that side, was there? Okay. Oh, and of course the archivers are can't fire from that position. Of course not. There's barely anyone left in the attacking force at this point. But the city still holds. Okay, they're over there. Okay. They're over there. And that's the turn. So yeah, the fortress still holds. It's been a bloody battle, and at this point they're probably gonna stalemate now. That city's regrowing. In some ways, good to see. We're gonna at least want to wait until it gets up to 24 pop before we start recruiting the next army from it. And it appears to be remote enough that I can safely train troops from it.
The long-term strategy seems to be smarter if it's built on lifting everyone up.
And then we're definitely imperialists, so we'll
I
take the
suppose
imperialists.
that once you have put your boots on their territory, you might as well leave it on their necks.
And then we only have one thing of independent people, so...
That should help with simplicity and keep things focused. Depending, of course, on where you go next.
Think about where you go next, yeah. We're not trained up yet, and we've got 3 of 8. And of course, the battle still rages on. We know there's someone over there. Victory for us, although very, very, very bloody victory. The reinforcements apparently arrived in just enough quantity and just enough time to solve the battle. I guess to delay me, they sallied or something to stop the unit. Still recruiting. Still recruiting. And while we're recruiting these troops, because they are kind of a priority to get done, we are going to shift everything to industry in those 2 places. Probably go back to science afterwards. Yep. Honor them. We want our military to be cheap because we're building troops to replace the fallen. And we're no longer in first anymore. So that's a mild concern. That would be one reason maybe to jump to the next era. Although I'm still thinking the two technology should get taken first. Oh, that's an enemy unit. Yeah, you can't just bypass the enemy. You have to actually, well, you can't order the enemy to attack themselves. That's not gonna work. Oh, there's a unit in our rear. Otherwise, I think the enemy is out of units. Persian special unit doing work. There we go. Another city defeated. Once again, we're just gonna assault the city. Yeah, it's not predicting that we have great odds, but its predictions aren't particularly great, apparently. When dealing with the gunner troops. Is the draftees or just charging the guns? Couple units of knights riding in from the back. There we go. Another city fallen. Stimulated. Urban pictures too. Cool. So yeah, this army will probably come over here, retake that city. We'll probably move someone to take that city.
Nobody wants to be the bearer of bad news. But you no longer lead the world in recognition and renown.
Yep, that's true. For now. But in addition to no longer leading the world in recognition and renown, the majority of the enemies are on the back foot and withdrawing, so...
I don't think you care how busy I may be. You have come to annoy me?
Yeah, none of these people are willing to negotiate anytime soon. You're still forming up. You're still forming up. Two turns. Current prediction. Could be wrong. 3 turns here. You know, if the rebellion just hands it over to, you know, the independent peoples, I don't care. The independent peoples can be independent. That works for me. Okay, that city's been overrun. This city... Well, I suppose unless we attack from the north. That's what we need to do. Attack from the north. It's just a fortress. Let's attack the fortress from the most vulnerable side this time. No, we don't want to hire armies from the independent peoples. Okay, you'll be stood up next turn. You'll be stood up the turn after next. So in that case, we should go ahead and start slopping things in. So, big amount of industry, more coal to make the industry better, also Peter to make the science stuff better. That's just good. Your science per person on science. Yeah, that's it for the moment. Oh, and we just took the city, so of course the city doesn't have anything in its keep. And we took. It is officially ours, although it is not the best of cities. More access to coal, more access to copper. 10% food. And then science. Italy. So I just noticed Twitch chat's asking, how did it come we did not advance the next era? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to complete some of the era stars in the industrial era to generate more fame. As you'll notice, I'm an era ahead of everyone. I have less fame than them. Well, about the same fame as the score leader this way. But I'm an era ahead of them. And I don't quite really... I'm not quite ready to go into the next era tech-wise. I say that being one tech off of where I want to be. I want to go into the next era after I pick up the next tech in next turn. So I'm just about there. Just about there. Yeah, that's because military-wise, we're sort of in a lull, where instead of the troops getting better, per se, the troops get mobile. So there isn't, until I get, like, decently into the next era, there isn't any troop improvement. So I'm not rushing to the next era to get better troops, because I wouldn't get any better troops. Okay. That's our deployment. But yeah, on the next turn I'm about to air up. And I think we're gonna go to the Japanese. Because it'll make what remains of the tech tree cheaper. As well as having a mixed industry mixed industry science quarter. Maker science quarter mix. Unless it be fallen. I would not be surprised if that's enough to get them to surrender. The people, actually, no, they got one city left. They might be resistant
Speak
with
to
one city
me,
left.
but do not look down on.
You are finally recruited for battle. And the city of Assur needs to be informed that they have rebelled. That is not to be accepted. There's nationhood. Giving us another Era Star. In fact, 2 Era Stars, because we picked the Builder Star as well. Putting us back in first, so we're back in the state where we could win the game if we wanted to win the game. And I am going to go the Japanese. I think I did the Japanese last time. In industry science combo is just nice, and 20% off all technology cost is also really nice. The emblematic unit here is a light fighter. Depends upon where this unlocks in the contemporary era, whether it'll be useful or not. You want me to swap to criminal slaves? Sure. That doesn't really bother me. Or civic, that's fine.
Speak to me, but do not look down on me.
So they are surrendering. They're accepting changing the founding myth, giving me all of Ascum, all of Adultus. Are you just giving me everything? Because that's not really what I want either. And you become my subject again. You know, we'll accept.
I can tell you that our gratitude is boundless.
So now I have too many cities. Again. Okay, so they basically saved 2 cities for themselves. And handed everything else over. Effectively accepting that they have been defeated. Oh, I can bring them in. That's what it's telling me about. No. I don't want to bring those in. I don't think we need to deal with them. Need to bring them in to deal with the... random barbarian troops. Although I may be wrong. Retake the flag so we don't lose the battle. Oh, and my army here that was going to lay siege here is unable to do it while that's ongoing, which slightly annoying. Only slightly. Okay. Oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to take that location without naval units. I might actually need to build a battle fleet, which requires me building a harbor. So we're going to need a harbor. Might as well build an aerodrome as well for attacking the last city. They may negotiate a surrender even without the last city falling, so might not be necessary. In the meantime, let's get this army down and prep for that attack. We now have an army here that might not be needed. Although it's probably better for it not to be needed than it to be needed. This is one of our new cities. New, possibly quite horrible cities. Oh, you do have an oil well. So I'll put that at the top. Yeah, so we do the industry buildings, we do the science buildings, and then the farm building. It's one city. This is the other new city. Similar sort of thing. Industry building. Industry building. Industry building. Industry building. Science, science. Oops. Science. Aristocratic evolution. 25% more money on all cities. Or science and money on... or per adjacent commons quarters. Probably Democratic Republic is really what we want. Although I don't necessarily know how much that's actually going to kick in.
With so many cultures and traditions, it takes a lot of voices to properly represent the will of the people.
We'll grab 3 message chip, just as a tide over until we can actually go into tier 5, in the air 5, which we'll do as soon as the turn ends. And we go to the next star.
The human mind, creative, imaginative. Knowledge and technology form the backbone of the culture. But where would the world be without sushi and manga?
And we apparently need our sushi and manga. And you can see them tearing down all the obsolete walls. At least I think that's what's happening there. Yeah. And by entering the area, we apparently just pick up 2 stars right away because of all the stuff going on. Okay. So now we're in Era 4. Theory of relativity is more fame. There's an argument to pick that up. There's also an argument to pick up aero warfare. Okay, so that explains why our fighter looked terrible in comparison to the American one, because it comes earlier. It comes a lot earlier. Yeah, so we'll grab Aerial Warfare, Research Institute. Amphibious Warfare, so we can get those rifles. That might be useful for the naval landing we might be trying to do soon. Do we have battleships? So there's the torpedo. Oh, that's naval air strategy. Okay. So then we'll do naval air strategy for battleship. So we get some battleships to do some fire support as we're doing this potential naval landing. city. Industry and science is very tempting. Although I think we're still going to hold off to grab what we postponed, so... Oh, it's behind that. That's 144 industry. That's 28, but provides more coal. And then we want to be back here as soon as that's done, because we're going to have another industry building to do. Capital punishment. Lifetime sentences or hard labor.
The difficult part
Thinking
here
industry.
is determining who gets the fruit of that labor and what it costs.
Oh, we still have this fight going on. Okay. Okay, now this fight's over. That allows these guys to start up this battle. Here we go. City occupied. So at this point, we've actually driven them occupying all their cities on the continent.
I do not live for revenge, but I could...
So that might be with enough patience, enough to just get them to surrender. The hard thing is, without taking that place, is going to be maybe a bit slow. So now it's telling me all the ways that I can end the game. So I can earn every contemporary star, I can lock all the endgame techs, I can eliminate all other empires, I can vassalize all the surrounding emperors, which we've done early in the run, and lost because we didn't have the fame lead at the point. We now have the fame lead, so we should be able to finish on time. Send a mission to Mars, or render the world unfit for human life, which we'd prefer not to do. Okay. We may attempt to just do a blind, one-directional assault and see if it works. It probably isn't. We're probably going to need some naval support. Whoops. Apparently I can attack me from there. Citizenship. Universal or select? We'll do universal.
It seems logical that citizenship starts with where you live and pay taxes.
Yep. If you live here, you pay taxes. You're a citizen because we're making you pay taxes. We're the evil taxman. Run away! It isn't surprising. claim a new wonder, and it does make sense to claim a wonder, because we're in a new era, so we got new wonders. Okay. We'll go with the Pentagon. And we're going to attempt an amphibious landing that's probably going to go terribly. This unit cannot attack land target. Okay, yep. I'm not sure we can actually succeed on that without getting some bombardment ships in. Oops, I just realized you're supposed to be chasing those guys. The pass is limiting our ability to attack. You attack from here? I suspect the answer is no. Yeah. And just like that. We've now forced the last unsubjugated player off to the island, where all their troops, all their capacities stuck up in this naval battle, where we can't actually do anything because our troops can't shoot from their boats, apparently. Oh, and that's stuck in the battle, so we can't believe we finished that aerodrome. Okay, well, it is what it is. Oops, I did still want that, that dock. Where's the dock? There's the dock. Prioritize the dock, please. Surplus of 60%, so you can pick up 6 of these robot labs. That's the Pentagon. We do want to build the Pentagon at some point, but build the robot labs first. Oops. Yeah, so all that's queued up, then build the Pentagon. Pentagon doesn't really have any placement restrictions, does it? Oh, it has to be connected to the main plaza. That's it. So it's very minimal replacement restrictions. Here we go.
"30 research quarters. It's a city so full of specialists that nobody can understand anyone else."
Oh, they brought in a boat that can actually do something. Well, we're gonna lose that army. At least they'll get a navy of their own.
You?
In the meantime, they might actually they might surrender. We might be able to end this game without having to do nailed invasion.
You have unlocked the Research Institute. It will not merely provide additional answers, but open up a whole range of ever more perplexing questions.
You have come to annoy me? Challenge accepted.
So we're gonna take the money. I am forced to take all this money, or at least whatever money they have. They're gonna give me that, become the vassal.
Others may love you. I have no...
The liege of every other empire? An impressive deed. Maybe you should insist that they all address you as your wonderfulness.
Okay. So once again, I think we have won. Well, once again, I think the game is going to end. I'm pretty sure this time, we're actually going to be in first and win.
Your first harbor. Fishing.
End of
trade,
your journey. This is your
voyages
last
of
turn. All emperors are
exploration.
vassalized.
You will see many things out of this tiny window onto a huge world.
We built the dock. The term for the game ends.
The march of human history is long. Making your place in it, an even
There we
greater
go.
achievement.
That's a victory.
No other civilization has equaled your ability to leave a lasting mark on humankind. And what an empire you built. You will be remembered for the way you conquered territories and expanded across the globe. Not all empires are able to gain fame by building a wonder, but you did. An awe-inspiring achievement and a great place for tourists. Above and beyond all this, one thing you have left to posterity is a healthy, green planet with mere traces of pollution. And though your
We
people
rarely
may have found
invented
it
pollution.
difficult, history is certainly impressed. You participated in the longest war. Congratulations. Under your guidance, the thrilling tale of humankind has been rewritten in your own words. There may be future adventures and deeds, an even grander scope for this grand story. Regardless, you have left a great mark and answered the question: how far will you push humankind?
And with that, we have victory. So early in the stream, when we vassalized everyone, we weren't on this level. Apparently, our best era was the industrial era. So you can see where the AI struggles. The AI blossoms early, and they don't hold on quite so well in this game. Although they on Empire difficulty, the AI definitely did make us work for it. If it was on lower difficulty, we probably would have just vassalized everyone and called it happy and go home the first time we vassalized everyone. But because it was on Empire difficulty, they didn't get enough fame to stay competitive, let's say. Skip the end. So we've got, at the end, we had 13,350 fame. Fourth came in with just under 7,500 fame. Third came in just under 10,000, 9,500. And then second was the one that was making us work for it. And I think for the longest time, I think second was actually the fame leader. Yeah, for a long stretch in there, they were the ones we were trying to catch, and they were our subject, like the entire time. See, that's fame. This is military. And you can see whenever I decide, like, oh, I want military, my military just goes shooting up. Just straight up. Whereas everyone else is a little bit more gentle rises. And a lot of that was we managed to stack military industry cost reductions. So going into that last war, I think the big mistake I had was not just disbanding the army and rebuilding it from scratch. Because a lot of our troops were out of date. That and combined with some terrain issues we ran into. Probably could have finished this one part earlier. Recording part earlier. Had I picked better terrain for the attack and had better upgraded troops. Go with that. This is where this one ends. If there's anything you want to see or you want any comments responded to, feel free to let me know. I can go look at basically any of the stats in the game. I'm going to put a save in here, so if there's anything on YouTube wants to see, I can go look at it for YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to let me know if there's any comments you want me to respond to. I'm going to leave the stream up for about a minute after I go ahead and end the YouTube recording. And if you're watching on YouTube, I am streaming this live to Twitch. But if there's anything you want to see that I did not cover live because Twitch didn't ask for it, feel free to let me know in the YouTube comments. I can always load up the save and make a short video showing the missing stuff if there's stuff you want to see. But at this point, this is the run. Empire difficulty was definitely, in some ways, a little harder. In other ways, well, some of that might have actually been the terrain and less the difficulty. In other ways, apparently going hard military from Ready, Set, Go works. Especially on harder difficulties, I expect. On harder difficulties, there's better benefits from taking the other guy's stuff. Because the AI is kind of cheating and they get bonus stuff. So if you can take their stuff, they get more for their stuff than you get from your stuff. So if you can take their stuff, then you're taking from the person who gets more from it. We went Mycenaeans early on. Notably, you can see minus 20% industry cost on units. That stacks with the barracks. That stacks with the religion. That allowed us to get really cheap units early on, which actually allowed us to field units early on. Also experienced like creating units on city or outpost. Legionnaire's Finest gave us an extra unit slot in our armies. Gave us 50% XP gain on units. I don't know if that applies to the 25%, but that definitely comboed with the Legionnaires just tearing into people. got them leveled up real quick. So the Legionnaires were just... In the era of the Legionnaires were unstoppable. The Aztecs, again, in the Aztecs era, when we finally got those Jaguar Warriors, the Jaguar Warriors were just tearing people to bits. And again, that was another 20% off the unit industry cost. So at this point, we were basically just like, if we need an army, we snap our fingers and an army appears. We had to resist doing that because otherwise we'd starve all the cities trying to feed the armies. But that just means we could do last-minute deployment of troops. You can see +2 land movement speed. Once we were done with the Aztecs, we basically arrived at the conclusion that we needed to get fame up. Right? We couldn't just vassalize everyone because we'd lose in the fame. We were behind in fame. So the solution to that was, well, I felt like I was behind in tech. We were, especially in the Aztec one, we just basically picked up the Aztecs. And that was the only thing we picked up from the medieval era. When we're going into the 4th era, right? So it's like, okay, I'm in the 4th era, but I don't have any 4th era tech. I barely have any of the 3rd era tech. I'm missing a bunch of the 2nd era tech. So it's like, I'm going into it like, okay, I know I need science. I need science. And while 3 science and tile producing science is not necessarily a lot of science, because not a lot of tiles actually just make science. This had a really good science building. So we had a really good science building that allowed us to catch up on tech real quick. And then we went into Mighty Works. Maybe didn't get as much value out of Mighty Works, because it's minus 10% on shared project cost. But if we weren't going to vassalize everyone, this would have allowed us to do wonders cheaper. Notably, all the wonders are 10% cheaper, including the space race wonders. So if we needed to do space race to win, which would have been a really big source of fame, this is basically 10% cheaper space race stuff. Then we entered into the last era, which is Japan. We picked up Japan because it's the emblematic district on them is a maker's research quarter. So it's both industry and science. Going into the last era, that was really the 2 things I wanted together. I wanted both industry and science, and there wasn't any good lone industry buildings, really. So the combo just worked well. And minus 20% science cost is good, especially in the last era where there's just tons and tons and tons of sciences. And that's the run. So, yeah, if I don't see any comments in Twitch, if you're watching on YouTube, and you want to see anything that I didn't bring up, feel free to let me know. That's the end of my recap, and this is where this run ends. At this point, this run's going to overlap 2 days with .age, which is what we're going to record in this time slot going forward, although we won't record that for 4 days. So if you're watching on YouTube, it will have been recorded in your past. In fact, probably 4 days in your past. But only the first 2 parts should have already been put up. And in fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, the next part for .age will probably be later today. Assuming .age takes more than 1 stream. The upcoming schedule is tomorrow will be Xenonauts. I did realize where the build base button is, so we'll get a few more bases. Saturday will be Strategic Command, World War I. Sunday will be Shadow Empire, and then Monday will be .age. So that's the upcoming schedule if you're watching on Twitch. I do see, I think the ads was about to start. Can I snooze that? I can snooze that. Okay. Delayed that by 5 minutes, which should allow me to give the rest of the intro. So hopefully you watching on Twitch won't have to deal with an ad. So that's the upcoming schedule. I hope everyone has been enjoying. If there's anything you want to see, replace any of the games, feel free to let me know in the comments. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part. And bye for now.